Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Onos, and today's video I wanted to ask a question and leave it open for discussion. I have a worry and I wanted to share it and see what you guys think. I'll come to that when I've explained a bit. So the base question, are newer Souls-like games too easy? I'm going to use Mortal Shell as an example for this video. Now before we get into it, I wanted to say a couple of things first. First off, I'm not criticising Mortal Shell at all. I did a review of Mortal Shell and rated it really highly. I loved playing it even though it was a lot shorter than I would have liked. There were some really memorable moments in the game and I still think it's worth playing if you haven't tried it already. Another thing I want to make clear is that I'm not a pro gamer. I would never claim to have exceptional skill at any game, especially Souls-like games. I've recently started my blind playthrough of Sekiro and it's kicking my ass. Bugger it. Ah, she shot at me in the face. Damn it. All that said, Mortal Shell to me was a little too easy. It's only after starting my run on Sekiro that I've realised this. Now I'm not saying that Mortal Shell is a complete walk in the park. My first couple of hours in the game were tough. I had to learn new timings, the rhythm of combat and the systems behind levelling and making use of the items in the game. But Mortal Shell has been presented to us as a Souls-like, so I expected to suffer a lot more. I had the expectation of losing hours and days to boss fights. My biggest disappointment in hindsight with Mortal Shell was actually the bosses and mini-bosses in the game. The main difficulty for me was not the bosses, it was some of the room encounters or combination of enemies in the different areas. And personally, I feel like that's the wrong way around. The bosses themselves didn't really challenge me much. I died only once to each of the bosses I encountered, and then managed to beat them. One of the bosses, in fact, I managed to put down on my first attempt. Again, this is not me trying to say I'm elite. If you've watched any of my Sekiro playthrough, especially on the boss fights, you'll know I'm not exactly an expert. Ah, no. Damn it. Ah, balls. Ah, balls. Damn it! But having moved from Mortal Shell to Sekiro, I realised the vast difference there is in difficulty and challenge. I've just released my video on the boss fight, Lady Butterfly, in Sekiro, and it was literally like being tortured, a torture I wanted to participate in. Now that I've beaten her, I look back on the experience with excitement and satisfaction. I feel like I've earned the right to play the rest of the game, knowing from my subs that Lady Butterfly is just the beginning. It's like Stockholm Syndrome, being mistreated for hours on end and then looking back with a smile on my face. Don't get me wrong, the world of Mortal Shell is awesome, it's beautiful and dark, the lore is interesting and the atmosphere is perfect. But the bosses just didn't grind me into the dirt, so as a result, I never really got that sense of satisfaction from beating them. I don't look back and feel I've earned anything really. The adrenaline rush just wasn't there. So my follow-up questions, and these are my concerns. Are Souls-like games being watered down? Has the term Souls-like been thrown around too much? Are the more recent releases being made more easily accessible for the general population? And if that is the case, does it actually take something away from the experience? Or on the flip side, having played these deliberately harsh games for so long, am I just getting numb to it? Now in terms of replayability, personally I don't feel the need to play through Mortal Shell again. I loved my time in the game, but I don't feel like there is anything pulling me back to do it all again. Whereas if you look at something like Dark Souls, Sekiro, Neo, people get hundreds of hours from those games, if not more. I would still happily recommend you play Mortal Shell if you haven't already. It's a fantastic game, but I wouldn't go into it with the expectation that this will be your new home. If you're a Souls fan, then you'll enjoy Mortal Shell, but my bet is you'll return to Souls pretty quickly afterwards, because nothing else quite scratches that itch. The same thing goes for Hellpoint, although I would say it's more difficult and will most likely present you with more of a challenge on your first playthrough, especially with all the secrets to uncover. But again, it hasn't quite done the job for me, and it's only after trying to master Sekiro that I'm realising this. So what do you think, guys? Are the more recent releases easier? Am I being unreasonable and too demanding? Should we be excited for whatever game gets tagged with a Souls-like badge next? Or should we be cautious because the tag is starting to get overused? I've seen reviews saying that Mortal Shell is the next Dark Souls, and while I do think the game is great, it's definitely not the next Dark Souls in its current state. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, take care, stay safe, bye bye now.